Hi, everyone. Today, our group, myself, Tracy Colley, Wendy McCarthy, and Matthew Mpemba, are excited to present our final project for EME 6457. We've designed an online mini course focused on a critical skill for the modern age, digital literacy and spotting misinformation. In developing this project, we divided our roles based on 3 core types of interaction design. I focused on learner-instructor design, Wendy on learner-learner, and Matthew on learner content. Throughout this process, we incorporated what we have learned using teams for a consistent, dynamic collaboration. Our goal was to create a functional online environment. This mini course targets learners who need to navigate the complexities of today's digital landscape with a specific focus on establishing a strong instructor presence from the very beginning. Our design is grounded in Michael Moore's transactional distance theory. We aim to bridge the psychological gap between instructor and student by balancing autonomy, dialogue, and clear structure. By providing a solid framework, we reduce distance and increase engagement. To design effectively, we analyzed our audience through the lens of information types. We distinguish between misinformation, which is unintentional errors, disinformation, deliberate lies, and malformation, harmful truths. Understanding these nuances is the first step to our learner's journey. A key pillar of our course is instructor presence, which we established through the Community of Inquiry framework. You can see here that we've personalized the experience with myself, Wendy, and Matthew, each providing a professional bio and clear contact information. We offer both virtual and in-person office hours to ensure students feel supported and connected, moving the instructor from a distant figure to an accessible guide. In our articulate RISE environment, the learner-instructor interaction begins immediately with the Start Here module and a detailed syllabus. This acts as a blueprint for the relationship. We also have a clear rubric as a continuous feedback loop. This doesn't just grade the student, it bridges the gap between our expectations and their outcomes, ensuring they know exactly how to improve their digital literacy skills. Our design reflects a shift in the instructor's role from just delivering content to facilitating learning. In this model, the teacher guides discussion and provides timely feedback. We leverage tools like video conferencing and discussion boards to discuss transactional distance. By strengthening this teaching presence, we make support more interactive and immediate. To wrap up this section, it's important to recognize how far we've come. As scholars Anderson and Drone and Michael Moore note, we've evolved from the delayed communication of old correspondence courses to the instant dynamic engagement we see today. This shift is what allows us to foster deep learning in a digital space. Thank you. Next, we will dive into the learner content design.
Hey there, folks. Here talking about the learner content. So it's how students learn through structured content. Now, I'm pretty sure most of us knows what that means. It is content that is intentionally designed to guide learning without constant instructor support. So basically, people are going to be able to, take your classes and do what you have to do without really much like work on the instructor. The instructor could go ahead and do grading, and they could go ahead and answer questions that people may have. But the learner content portion of that is that when the learners are learning, they're learning from the content, and they're not just learning from an instructor basically spoon feeding them the answers or something like that. So that's kind of the beauty of what learner content is actually about. Content as the instructor, okay? So learning through interaction. Lessons guide students step by step through key concepts. So these, basically what I was telling you before is that students are learning these key concepts as they go along. So they're getting introduced by these concepts, by the activities that are on the page and whatnot. So the instructor is not really present in these materials. So let's say, for instance, you're an instructor, right? And you create these amazing gamifications inside of your course. And your students are learning from that, right? They're learning from these activities. And they're not asking you questions because they have the questions available on there. Kind of like how AI answers some questions on that one. It's kind of, we could use AI infused with a lot of the content that we're creating, as well as the gamification in that one. So this is kind of just describing that the teachers could work on the things that they really need to get done throughout the day, as the content that they're creating, the engaging content, is helping them out there as they go. So algorithms and virality. Okay, so these are the foundational awareness. This is the foundational awareness of everything. Okay, students explore how algorithms shape content they see online. So basically, these virality of what's going on. So let's say, for instance, this particular class or something is very prominent in terms of learning AI, but it's only learning certain things through AI. Well, it will guide that path into whatever particular thing they're learning as they go. So it's very simple. Okay, so the outcome is the awareness of how digital platforms influence perception. So you think about like how you're playing a game, right? You're playing a video game. Let's say you're playing an RPG game and you're leveling up your character. What's exciting about that is because it's a different perception than you would normally play another game that may not have something like that. But for, let's say you do that with your you do it with your classes. Well, your classes are now going to be able to kind of build upon that. Maybe you want to do gamification. Maybe you're using AI technology that helps build that. And again, the system learns and builds from that. So students are able to learn and grow as they can, and it has it guided to what they're going to be about. So in reality, I think it's a great plan for us to move forward with these technologies. Course analytical thinking. Have the ability Students have the ability and the sources they create. They compare multiple perspectives of determining the outcome, development of critical thinking and behavior. And what that basically says is that as they proceed through the class, they are analytically thinking because the course content that you set up for them allows them to use their brain in a different way that they don't even know about. And they do it in an engaging fashion because at the same time, they're evaluating all the sources that you're providing for them. So a lot of them are doing this hands off without the instructor actually even being involved at all. They could be there for answering questions, of course, if there's any run-ins or anything like that. But majority of the time, they're learning from the content that you created, which is pretty amazing. All right, this is a big one. Misinformation, applied analytics, okay? So it's a big information. So students identify manipulation tactics and misleading content. They analyze emotional triggers, deception messaging, and the outcome is the ability to recognize and respond to misinformation. Now, misinformation is everywhere. We live in this world today. Everything could be considered fake news. I mean, you could be online and there's a photo of somebody going like, this person just died the other day. And you're like, holy crap, how did it happen? And they'll create a complex way of this happening in a very realistic format. So the whole point is for us to teach kids or students or whatever, or even adult learners, um, the ability, and this is the ability to say, this is this is how you could decipher how fake news is being implemented. How could you decide through that? And in your classes and your content could help shape that information. Looking for specific information. Is this a editorial that was cited by multiple people? Is this something that's going to be used by scientists or information that somebody's going to be pulling from academic resources? These are things that they're going to be looking for instead of something online that's like a Facebook post that says, guess what? There's a major problem in your community because right now the insurance companies are going to ravage you. And okay, so maybe that's true, maybe it's not true. Okay, but the thing is, we don't want to go crazy on that. We want to make sure we identify, learn, and grow as we go. All right. Fact checking, practical skills. Okay. These are practical skills that everybody should know. AI students practice verification methods such as lateral reading. They learn to confirm information using multiple sources and outcome real world fact checking skills. Now, this one sounds like you're just like, oh my God, what does this possibly mean? It's very simple. AI is everywhere, so it's going to mislead us a bunch of times, especially with how good it's gotten. I mean, look at videos, look at images. But what it's really saying is that we're going to have students take the time to do research. It's not just going to be, oh, here's the research right here. You're good to go now, okay? So, okay, but how do you know it's a real thing? You should check multiple sources to make sure that they all kind of work together, because that's the one thing AI kind of hits home about, is that it screws up a lot. So AI could go, oh, well, Bruce Willis is not doing well right now. And then all of a sudden it'll be on the next panel that says Bruce Willis is in the loving embrace of his family right now. It's like, okay, which one is it? Okay. Now, the outcome, real world fact checking skills. Now, the real world, if you can see it, you better start believing some of it, okay? So you can't just go, oh, AI told me this and my eyes are deceiving me right now. No, no. You need to real world practicum and using your sources for multiple ways of doing so. All right, AI content, emerging challenges, okay? This is a big thing. Is there's deep fake, there's risks of ethical concern, and awareness of modern digital challenges. This is basically saying don't be fooled, don't take a picture of a dog that learned how to do moonwalking and think, "Oh my God, they're evolving." Okay, you can't think that way. You really can't. You have to think perceptual wise, is this possible? If you see a cat do a backflip onto a trampoline and then jump right into a bunch of cat treats, you know what? I mean, maybe it could be real. I mean, cats are pretty impressive. But the point is that it doesn't seem real, right? So we have to look at these. And again, I'm not just saying those things because those are pretty easy to understand. I'm saying that there are even more difficult ones. I mean, we have AI now doing interviews. I mean, that's pretty screwed up if you think so, right? They're doing interviews now. So we have to be able to decipher and learn because we don't want to be those elderly people who get scammed by stuff like this. Because I mean, oh my God, we might get scammed pretty easily at this point with how easy things are looking. All right, real world applications, digital citizenship. Okay, go into this one. So, knowledge to ethically and responsibly digital behavior. They reflect on privacy, sharing, and online well being, informed and responsible participation. This is a very simple thing, guys. You see a bunch of people posting on Facebook about a post about a dog who saved 16 children from an abandoned building that were somehow in there, and then the dog was revered as being this hero, but was burned and needs one like for one prayer, and one prayer equals much love or something. The point is that you have to differentiate things, and it's our responsibility to not engage in these matters when these things are coming up. So don't get in there and go, oh my God, the Keebler elves were released from the prison and now they're coming to take our jobs. It's like, the Keebler elves, the guys who make the cookies? And they're like, yeah. And I'm telling you, those are the only guys who didn't get affected by AI. It's like, okay, they don't exist, all right? So first of all, don't participate in garbage, because garbage in, garbage out. Learning process progression, continuous development. Each unit builds on knowledge and skills from previous units. Students move from understanding to independent one, outcoming as confident, capable learners. Basically, what this is saying is that you have a class, it builds upon the strategies of what you have, continuing to build those modules as you go, module after module after module. Each one of them are going to be a little bit different than the rest, but they're continuing being a building block that students can learn from, and that is one of the most important things to really do. All right, I want to thank you guys for watching this. Students first build knowledge through structured content interaction, which is basically what I told you before, is that being able to create courses is one of the most fundamentally important things you can do. So I want you to say right now, if you're going to be a course developer, or you're going to be an instructional designer, I want you to take the helm and say, this is what I want to do for the future. Don't just do it because there's a paycheck. Do it because we have to teach young people. We have to teach anybody, really. Everybody's a learner. We have to teach people growing up that there are so many different methods to doing the right thing and doing it correctly. Don't be fooled. Don't be messed up by AI, and do what it can, because AI is here to stay. But how we implement it, how we use it is the most important thing that we could do. So thank you guys for watching it. Have a wonderful day.
Hello, everyone, and thanks to Tracy and Matthew for your valuable contribution to our group project, particularly working on learner to instructor and learner to content interactions. And now I will start by introduce learner to learner interaction. This concept comes from Moore's interaction framework, and it really focuses on how students learn from each other, not just from the instructor. So in practice, this could look like a group project, discussion boards, peer feedback, or even collaboration through tools like Google Doc and Padlet. The idea is also supported by several learning theories. For example, Vygotsky emphasized that learning is social. The community of inquiry talks about building social patterns, and connectiveness highlights learning through networks. So the key takeaway here is that learning becomes much more meaningful when students actively interact and collaborate with their peers. Next, I want to talk about digital citizens and what it look like in practice. In this Unit 6, students are really learning how to behave responsibly in online space. That include things like sharing content, ethically being mindful of what they post, and maintaining a positive online reputation. They're also encouraged to engage in respectful conversations, protect their privacy, and think about their overall digital well being. Another important piece is understanding their digital footprint. Basically, what kinds of track they're leaving behind online. So overall, this is about helping students become more thoughtful and response to the digital practice. Here, I include a case study to make the learning more interactively and practical. Students were looking at a scenario called Alexa's last minute decision and discuss what they think is the most appropriate action. What I like about this active is that it really pushes a student to think about ethicals, integrity, and how their online choice affect others. The discussion will happen in Microsoft Teams, where they can share and respond to each other's idea. Then they will also post on Padlet and interact with at least two classmates. This setup helps building a sense of a community even in a asynchronous environment, and it keeps the interaction quick and engaging. So on this slide, I highlight the main benefits of learner-to-learner interaction. When students engage with each other, they're not just passively receiving informations, they're actively exchange ideas and see different perspectives. That process really helps deepen their understanding. I also include the two tools here, Microsoft to support real-time discussion and organized communication, while Padlet create a more open and visible space where everyone can contribute. Together, these tools make collaboration much more accessible and engaged for students. Now let's talk about peer feedback, which is a really important part of collaborative learning. The goal here is to move beyond a simple comment like good job and encourage more meaningful response. For example, students can ask follow-up questions, share their own experience, or suggest different perspectives. This kind of interaction leads to deeper discussion and help the student learn from each other. On this slide, I explaining how grading can actually encourage interaction. In this design, discussion make up 40% of the final grade, which is the same as assignment. That's intentional because this shows students that participation and collaboration are not optional. They're a core part of the learning experience. When assignment is aligned this way, students are much more likely to stay engaged and contribute actively. Of course, learner-to-learner interaction isn't perfect. So here I address some challenges. For example, sometimes not everyone participates equally, or there might be communication issues, especially in online settings. Time zooms and schedule can also make group work difficult. To address this is really important to set clear expectations, assign rules, and provide structured guidance. Use the right tools, adding ice breaks, and encourage regular feedback can also help building strong connection along with the student. So while there is a challenges, but there are definitely practical ways to managing them. Learner to instructor interaction and learner to content interaction helps building the foundation of the learning experience by guiding students and supporting their understanding of the material. Learner-to-learner interaction further enhances this experience by encouraging students to share ideas, ask questions, and learn collaboratively. Constructive feedback and teamwork help deepen understanding and increase engagement. Tools such as Teams and Padlet also support this interaction by making communication and connect easier. Overall, when learner to interactor, learner to content, and learner to learner are intentionally designed together, they create a more engaged, student-centered learning environment. What the student out in of a project is how all three types of interaction work together. Students are not only learning from the content and the instructor, but also from each other, which makes the learning experience more meaningful. Together, these interactions create a more connected, engaging, and effective learning experience. So, overall, when this is designed well, this type of interaction creates a much more engaged and student-centered learning environment. Thank you for listening to our group project presentation. Have a good day.